Hey, happy Vlogmas.
Happy Vlogmas.
Day 2.
Day 2. Can we just say that day 1 is still uploading to YouTube? So technically, we'll probably be posting day 1 and day 2 on the same day.
Yeah.
Maybe, unless it takes day 2 until day 3 to upload.
Yep. Technical difficulties, which is kind of funny because it doesn't usually happen like that when I upload to my other channel. But hey, here we are. But we also didn't do much for day 2. Well, I didn't do much for day 2. I cleaned the house for day 2. She went to work for day 2. So,
Yeah. And so now I'm exhausted, right?
which is why we're filming this in bed, clearly in our night clothes, clearly about to go to sleep.
As soon as this goes off, I am. But I'm excited to do it.
But we're trying to do practice this thing of consistency.
Yes.
So we said we're gonna do every day,
Yes.
even if it means on our phone from
Yes.
bed. It's still happening. This is day 2 of Vlogmas. You didn't miss much though for the rest of the day. This is really the highlight of the day is us laying in bed talking for the past hour.
Right. This is the great part, which was full of me showing pictures of Jack Russell Terrier puppies and Tanya pretending to be interested, but also ignoring me at the same time because I keep saying, I want a dog.
I'm interested. I just am like, how is this dog thing feasible? You know, our lease does not permit animals, and we also would like to have a baby. So I'm also just like the baby first, the dog first, a new place, like what we need to do. So, you know, I'm a Capricorn and I'm an Earth sign, and I'm all about like the logic and the planning. So I'm like, yeah, I would love a dog, but like logistically, how would we want to pursue this endeavor? That's it.
And I'm a Pisces, and so I'm like, I want a dog. Not much else there. I want a baby. I don't know what else to say.
And you see, I plan for things. So when she told me she wanted a baby, I was like, okay, so now let me go and plan for the next year of life of how to make a baby really feasible and possible.
Now you can plan for a dog and how to make a dog feasible and possible.
Okay.
I digress. Let's change the subject.
Yeah. So today we were talking about this new finding
Yeah. Finding.
that we came across. Do you want to explain?
Yeah. So, as we touched on a little bit in day 1, we were having a little tiff yesterday. Some, some misunderstanding, which is nothing new, but still, this one brought about some new discoveries in the way that we relate to our world around us. Like, I'm realizing that Tanya is more literal, and I'm more inferential. And these, like, the word inferential has been in my mind all day since I read up on the differences in the ways that people who show up with those characteristics are, like how they process the world. Like, Tanya is very literal. If I say a thing, she's like taking it literally. But me personally, like, I learn better, process better, connect better through like anecdotes and parables, and like one of the really good examples that I read today online was like someone who's literal. If you are with them and you say I am thirsty, they just kind of think, okay, she thirsty. All right, let's move on with life. But like someone who's inferential, if you're around them and you're like, I'm thirsty, then that person is gonna like assume that this meant you wanted them to get you water, or like that y'all somehow need to get to water, like whatever the case may be. And of course this varies for everybody and how they express these two different approaches that I'm talking about. But it just made a lot of sense for us. So much so that I called home like, does this make sense? And I read the example and Tanya's like, yes, makes sense. Now I'm on another call. I have to let you go. But I was excited about like even the possibility of better understanding why our communication kind of goes the way that it does sometimes. Like just a little tidbit of help is always hopeful. Brings a lot of hope for me at least. What did you think about that?
Well, I thought it was helpful because, I thought that, like, that was clear. Like, I felt like the way I've always understood it is I'm very logical and that you're very emotional. So I've always understood it like that, but I guess this is a more clear understanding of it. But it's nice to have you understand in some ways, I guess. Like, it's nice for you to get that, like, it's not that I don't want to understand or I'm not trying to understand. It's that I genuinely do not understand it unless it's said to me. Like, to me, it's like, if it's not said, it didn't happen. Like, it just goes unsaid. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm like, how am I supposed to know you want me to get you something to drink unless you say, hey, can I have something to drink, please? Like, how would I know that?
Well, the funny thing is, I'm in my head like, come on, you have to know that me telling you I'm thirsty means that I want water. But I'm realizing now that that's not cool. Like, that's not fair. Like, for me to assume that, like, you can read my mind based on me just saying a few words. But the hard part for me is actually being able to be like, I am thirsty and I would like you to get me a cup of water. Like, that's the hard part for me. And honestly, if I'm fair to my own upbringing, like, I grew up in this situation where I was hinted at, like, things were hinted at a lot and not like straightforwardly asked for sometimes. Like, you know, it's so funny because we saw this in my niece, right? You know how kids like really show you who you are. Like, like my niece would be like, "Oh, I really could eat some ice cream today," instead of just being like, "Will you get me some ice cream?" Like when I used to babysit her, like she'd be like, "Yeah, I could eat some McDonald's chicken nuggets," and I'd be like, "But I just cooked dinner." Instead of being like, "I don't want what you cooked. I want this instead," kind of thing. Like, and I really felt that it made a lot of sense to me because that's what I experienced growing up.
And I wonder if it's cultural too, right? Because I know something that you had to adjust to with my mother as your mother in law is, my mother, her mother in law, will ask for what she needs.
Well, she would tell what she needs. It's not an ask. Like, it's no.
So if we go to her house, she has um chores and errands waiting for us.
Move that couch over there to the. Okay.
And she'd be like, Danny, sweetie, can you move that? Please, maybe.
No,
maybe.
sweetie. Don't soften it. Danny, can you move that? Tanya, can you and her carry this apartment over there to the other side of town? Like, no.
So I'm used to being asked directly. And like growing up, I come from a really communal family. We share a lot of food and just share everything. And sometimes I'd be like, oh, I don't know if you, like, I'll say to my mom, like, oh, like, I don't want to, like, impose, I don't want to bother you, like, I just, like, you only have one of that. And she's like, well, I gave it to you, so it means I want to give it to you, so it's yours. So I grew up in this type of culture or family culture, at least, where, it literally is what it is. You just ask for what you want, and if someone gives it to you, it's because they want to. Like, there's, like, not a lot of, like, I don't even know what to call that, gray area. And if it does show up as gray area, it's kind of like almost like on that person for being gray. It's like expected that people will be more clear with their communication to some extent. It could be my personality, it could also just be my family, it could also be, or my culture, it could be maybe all the above. I don't know.
I guess I'm just pondering it. I do think it's different cultures. I think it's all kinds of things that go into it, really. I don't know. Yeah, I don't really have a lot to say, though. I am kind of tired. But I did take in everything you said, and I do agree that there are differences there. And I'm also agreeing that, like, it's my responsibility to ask for what I want, for sure. And I'm also going to be honest and say that it's still difficult sometimes. Because I can present with this whole attitude of, like, you should be able to read my mind. If you love me, you should know me. And that's, like, so fairy tale-ish and not true. So, and sometimes you do know me. Honestly, there are times where you're like, all right, you look like that, you need this, or you feel like that, I'm gonna give you this, or whatever. Like tonight, I also not only am I tired, I have cramps, and you were like, you need to leave, and I'm like, yes, I do. So there are some times when I don't have to ask, but largely, I think it's just good practice to ask for what I need.
The only reason why you don't have to ask for it to leave is because I'm used to you, like, needing to leave. So I now know when you need to leave. But that's like being together for 2 years and lots of practice.
2 years to leave, two folks, two pillows underneath me right now. To sleep I go.
Well, this is day 2 of Vlogmas, and we will see you for day 3. We have a lot to do tomorrow, so day 3 will probably be a little bit more excited than day 2, but I hope that our lesson or our little tidbit of the day can be helpful to one of y'all out there.
Peace, peace.
Peace.